Okay, here we are. Coaches coaching, coaches coaching. What number are we on? Number 6?
I think so.
Numero 6. So it's perfect timing. This week is the nature boy, Ric Flair, his birthday. Okay. Now that's important and relevant to today's call because we are talking about putting the flair into your training sessions and how to do that, right? Hashtag pun intended, right? So with that being said, today's topic, we've had quite a number of people ask about how to create you could say a world-class experience in your training sessions, how to have fun, how to bring energy, how to make it interactive. We run the same program for 4 weeks, soon to be 6. So how do you create flair in those training sessions as you're going through and training people? So that's what we're talking about today. So the first thing before we get into it, I've got Nick, Lane, and Thane on. They're going to talk and share some stuff. But before we do, the first thing, 2 things I want you to think about. First is if I asked you, or if someone off the street asked you, hey, what's it like training with you? What is your response? Right? What is that response? What does that look like? So that would be the first thing I would look at is if you're in your 30-second pitch to someone that's coming from the outside, never trained with you before, if in that pitch you're not able to succinctly describe your training experience and know, like if I said to you, hey, what's your training experience like? And if you can't answer that real quick and have a good understanding of what your training experience is like, then we've got to work on that, right? So let me ask this, Lane, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's the training experience like with you? If we were to go and train with you, what's it like?
What I tell people when they ask me, a question like that is, first of all, you're going to have a blast, right? I do training in small groups. My groups are a bunch of awesome people who are all trying to get in better shape. We're all trying to reach goals, and we do it together. We make sure we have a ton of energy, and honestly, we just have a blast doing awesome functional training. So you got to come try it. It's the best.
Got it. So,
and usually I don't say that at like 7 a.m. when I sound sleepy.
Usually it's a little more exciting, right? But yeah, so really though, what is the training experience like, right? What is it like? How would your clients describe training with you? Would they describe it as fun? Would they describe it as energetic? Would they describe it as challenging? How would they describe it, right? And that's where I would start is, where do your clients see your training experience? Where do you see your training experience? Let's start there and then build off of that. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing I want you to think about is our 3 rules of training, right? No injury during session, prevent injury, get results, right? And the reason I bring that up is because when we start to create the flair, we start to have the fun, that's when things can get a little bit hairy, a little bit dangerous if we're not careful. But if you keep those 3 rules in mind of no injury during session, prevent injury, have fun. I mean, not have fun. Have fun should be on there, but get results. Those 3 things. Then at that point, then you can start to create experiences, right? So I'll give you an example, and then we'll kind of go through this. So as an example, I used to teach spin classes. Okay. Yeah. This guy I tried teaching it again. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. But I used to teach spin classes. Okay, so I taught the 6 a.m. spin class in New Orleans. We would pack it out every time, have a good time. Well, when you came, there was a couple of things that always happened every time you walked in the door. First of all, everybody knew each other's names because I would introduce people. So I would walk around, I would introduce people to each other, and I would introduce myself to them. Okay, so everybody knew everybody in the class. Okay, and if we got a new person, I would introduce them to the 2 people sitting side by side to them, and I would introduce myself to them. So that was the first thing. The second thing is we always had an interesting fact. Every class started with an interesting fact, and it came to the point where people would come to class prepared and ready with interesting facts on their phone, ready to go, right? So there was always an interesting fact every time we started class. The other thing is we always had a strong finish. There was always something at the end that killed you, that at the end you were done. And I high-fived every single person in class at the conclusion of class. So when we finished, we got done with our strong finish at the end, whatever it was, 5 sets of 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, whatever it was in that spin class. At the end, I was walking around high-fiving, boom, way to go, boom, way to go, boom, way to go. Every single person in class, right? That happened every single time, right? We had a cold towel service that we would bring cold towels into, people would put the cold towel on their head, right? And then I always finish class with a motivational quote, some type of quote to finish class off, right? Now, the reason I bring that up is because those are small little things, little kind of extracurricular things, extra flair, interesting fact, strong finish, high-fiving everybody in the class. Those are all little things, but they're all the little things that people appreciated, wanted to be a part of, right? There's some people that appreciate that and like it. There's some people that could give about an interesting fact, right? But at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to create is that environment, right? So with that being said, let's see here. I wanted to look at, one thing I wanted to look at was our program for this month, and wanted to kind of give some ideas just so you can have an understanding of what we're talking about. But while I'm getting that pulled up, Nick Lane saying, do you have any comments on what I talked about?
Yeah, so I would just say, you know, it's all those things that you said, they created the personal experience that you brought to that spin class, right? Not everybody has to do that exact same thing, but what is your personal experience, and what things are you going to do on a consistent basis that gets people expecting a certain experience and gets them excited? Because at this class, at Nick's small group, I get to do this and I get to see these people. I think when you said, you know, introducing people is huge. When they start to feel like they're working out with friends, that can really, really bring a lot of good energy as well. So it's things you kind of have to figure out on your own, but like what, you know, but you have to do it intentionally. I think that's the biggest thing, is a fun and like high energy class does not happen by accident. That's for sure.
All right, just so there's not silence, I'll jump in for 2 seconds. Not that we all have to be like best friends with our clients, but I think one of the biggest things that's helped me out with the energy is, just like RJ's saying, is connection and knowing each other in the group. And we even do things outside of work, where it's like a couple weekends ago, I had all my clients over and we were playing Cards Against Humanity and drinking beers and eating with each other and breaking bread, and that transfers over to the group. So even group texts or whatever, but they know each other's names, that we've hung out before. And then when we're in the group, it becomes like a friend. It becomes like a community. And so it's so much easier to bring that energy, because it's not just me trying to do it, it's the entire group. And the last thing on that one too is like the music. That's the one thing we didn't mention. That is huge. Like if I don't have music in my group, my clients complain. If I can't find that radio, they're like, where's the music today? It's like, well, there's some overhead. I just couldn't find it. I think they might be doing it in like the pool right now and using that radio. And they'll just complain to me. It's like, it's not the same. It kind of just drives it for me when you play that music. So that's huge. If we have a radio or something, it's getting it out there and playing around with it. And I know I'll have you pitch in, Lane, because I kind of play the same tunes every once in a while. I switch over, but I know you've in the past had, like, here it's 80s day, it's 90s day, you know, like, and playing around with it.
Yeah, I think the music can be a huge thing you can do to just add that extra energy. And especially, it fills all the dead spots. It fills all the silence. If, you know, you're switching through things, or if you're having to move equipment around, my clients have their songs that they love that each of them request or hate. Ryan's smiling over there. I can see him. And so, when Tiffany's struggling, I always turn on Despacito because that's her favorite song and she loves it. My 6 a.m. or my 6:45 a.m. group, half the time they're dancing between sets if I got the right music on. So that can really bring a lot of fun energy. And yeah, always mixing it up.
Yeah. So on one thing I would say on music and dancing is if you're dancing and sweating and working out in the middle of the session, you probably got a good sweat session going on. It's probably a fairly good indicator that things are heading in the right direction. Okay, so I've got this pulled up here. I want to kind of give a couple little things as ideas, because I think sometimes when we think about creating an experience, we think of these grandiose ideas, but really at the end of the day, it's a lot of just the little things, right? I remember Boyle's group, they had riddles. I don't know if they're still doing that. They would put riddles on the board and have clients solve riddles on the board, right? That's a simple thing. It's fun. It's something that people look forward to, right? And going back to what, these guys are talking about, a lot of it just has to do with your personality, having fun, that sort of thing, and just creating it within your own personality and what you're all about, right? Last week I wore a Superman suit to train, right? That's an example of something that's very subtle. All I had to do is put some pajamas on, and it created a fun atmosphere, right? If you look at, you guys are able to see this screen, the program. So this is our new program. We're kind of officially launching it over the next couple weeks here, and we talked about this and showed this last week in head trainer call, but I wanted to just kind of show you this. So this is our program, right? Foam roll, stretch, mass drills, dynamic warm-ups, stack drills, power, day 1, day 2, day 3, right? So just a couple quick examples, right? During foam roll, who's got the interesting fact for today? Who's got the joke for today, right? Who's got, asking about stories, right? Hey, tell us what you did over the weekend, right? Those are simple, easy things, right? Looking at day 1, I'll give you an example from last week. Training the group in Clinton, we had goblet squat, inline chop, bear crawls. Okay, so on bear crawls, I had the group, and Nick was there, he can verify, I had the group do bear crawls just in the middle of the cage, but we had stuff all over throughout the cage, right? So you had to kind of maneuver your way in your bear crawls, right? I know that sounds stupid, but it was probably fun, right, Nick?
No, we were all laughing. I was like crawling over Michelle's legs while she was rowing or something like that over there. And just, everybody was laughing and giggling.
Yeah, and I told them, I said, when we went to go set it up, I said, hey guys, we're doing goblet squats, inline chop, and bear crawls, and I'm not creating lanes. So you have to just maneuver your way. You have to go from one fence to the other, and you just have to figure out a way to get there, right? And I would even purposely stand in front of people and make them walk around me, right? And so you think about, that's a simple, easy thing, creates a little bit of fun, right? That sort of thing, right? Chin-ups. You take chin-ups, for example. Hey, guys, let's challenge ourselves today. We're going to, it's 2 by 5, but we're going to do, I want to see how long you can hold it on your last one. We're going to do an eccentric, just hold. Let's see how long you can hold it, right? Simple, easy, challenging, something that's going to push them, right? Hey, let's see who can hold it the longest, right? I think one thing that we fear sometimes is creating competition within our groups, because we're afraid that we're going to what's the word I'm looking for? Isolate? Is that the right word? Isolate people, get people to uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, that's part of our gig, is getting people uncomfortable, right? Making them comfortable, getting them in positions that make them stretch themselves and get bigger and get better, right? That's essentially what we're doing, right? So sometimes we get scared creating competitions because you might have that client in there that's overweight, out of shape, brand new, and they're going to feel uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, that's the type of thing that's going to push them to the next level and get them better. Making sense? So looking at this program, you know, you can see there's a bunch of different ways, you know, on get-ups. One thing that these guys have shown me on get-ups from Dan is doing overhead press in the middle of get-ups. Right? Simple lateralization, simple, easy thing to move things over and create some dialogue and talk through shit stuff.
You know,
I'm trying to watch my language. Go ahead.
One thing I would say on these points that you've made, RJ, is, you know, when it comes to, you know, if we're coaching the same movements, right, and that's important. It's important to coach somebody to improve their push-up, right? But as somebody continues to master that movement, and you're moving through progressions and you're giving them different things, you know, and then they're like, all right, well, I'm just doing another bodyweight push-up. You know, there's nothing wrong with giving them a push-up with a banded knee flex or hip flexion, or, you know, making their push-ups go, hey, I want you to do a push-up and then bear crawl, and then push-up and then bear crawl. Like, you can get creative and add flair, especially if you know who's in your group, you know the needs of that person. A lot of people don't care. Some really, really like extra stuff. You got to start to read those people and give them that personal experience. You know, and that's where, like, yes, follow the regressions and regressions. 99 times out of 100, that's going to be the most important thing. And the other thing to remember as a coach, you know, and I was having this conversation with one of our trainers last week, is that you're going to be, it was funny because we were having this conversation during my group, and one of my clients was overhearing it. And I was saying, you're going to get way more bored coaching these movements than the clients. And one of my clients looks over at me smiling and is like, yeah, I'm not bored with these. Not at all. Like, he was like, these are killing me right now. Like, I'm not asking for a bunch of new stuff. And so to me too, it's like, bring your energy and your passion. And what I told her was, you know, I may have coached the deadlift 100 times today, but I haven't coached your deadlift, and I haven't coached his deadlift. Remember, you're coaching specific individual people, and get excited about that. And that excitement will really show in your sessions, and it'll make them better sessions.
No, I like to piggyback on what you're saying, Lane. I like that. I like the way you put that. I have not coached your deadlift yet, and that's important to have an understanding, guys, because you got to understand, people are walking into the doors. They're looking for an experience. They're looking for a getaway. They're looking for a way to be able to improve themselves. Right? Everybody's looking for something different, but when they're walking through the doors, but everybody's looking for something, right? You know, my grandpa used to say back in the day, started clubs in the 60s. He used to say, people are not walking into a club to buy a loaf of bread, but they are walking in to buy something. And everybody's going to be a little bit different, but they're all looking for something, right? And just like Lane said, yeah, I've coached 100 deadlifts today, but I've not coached your deadlift. Right? So what's that experience going to be like for you, and how am I as a coach going to create and elevate that experience for you? Right? You know, as an example, I'm looking at cross-reaching one leg, single leg deadlift. You know, and I'm just thinking of, you know, that's just a simple reaching single leg deadlift, right? Well, you know, you can have them reach for something specific. You know, that's kind of funny. You know, you have them get behind somebody and try and touch somebody's ankle type of thing. You know, but that's the type of thing that's just fun and creating a fun experience, right? If I had a whole line of people doing, please will somebody do that? Please will somebody get a train of clients doing single leg deadlift and touching the person in front of them's ankle? Can someone do that, post it online? That would be phenomenal. Anyways, Thane, we haven't heard from you. Where you been?
I'm just listening, taking it all in.
Just taking it all in, just soaking it in. What can you add, Thane? I know Thane likes to tell a good dad joke during his sessions.
The dad jokes. I think
doesn't get any better than a good old-fashioned dad joke. Go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
That's okay. Adults love chalk. So if you guys could have chalk in the cage, you tell somebody to chalk up. If you tell someone to chalk up and do a farmer carry, they think they're Thor or whatever. They absolutely love it.
No, so, it's so true.
If you get that, it's pretty funny. But you tell them to chalk up and grab those 50-pound kettlebells, and they're like, 50s? You're like, yep, chalk up, and they're like, okay, I can do it.
No, you're right though. You're right though, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that little thing of them putting chalk on their hands and rubbing it in and them grabbing the bar, they're like, oh, dude, I've been sitting here picking up kids all day. I was at my job all day, sitting there working on spreadsheets, right? And you guys don't realize that we have the best jobs on planet Earth, right? And so we've got to create. I think that's so funny. And I'm laughing because when I was in Colorado, I don't know if it was last time or 2 times ago, Thane brought that up to me because I saw chalk in there, and I said, "What are you doing with chalk in the cage?" And he said, "Dude, people love it." And so now I'm looking at chalk distributors, but it's true because it creates that experience. And yeah, it might get a little dirty. We might have to clean up a little bit, but it creates an experience that people enjoy and love and want to do.
If it helps you feel strong and powerful, then by all means.
By all means. What else you got for us, James?
Try it.
Try it. You'll like it. That's all you got. You got chalk.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Chalk.
Yep.
You got chalk.
Keep it simple. You guys already covered everything else.
So what? Before I've got a couple other thoughts, but before we do, what does anybody have any questions on anything that we talked about? Concerns? Maybe things specifically that you've had that you're wondering about on how to elevate and get the Ric Flair. Dude, maybe you put the Flair on it, but we spell it F-L. Wait, how do you spell Flair? F-L-A-I-R. That's Ric Flair. Is that how you spell like putting a flare on it too? No? F-L-A-R-E. There we go. All right. Questions, concerns so far?
The one just point I want to make too, because we're going to go through some more like specific examples of fun things you can do. But like it really all does come back to like, you're going to just figure those things out and do them. If you're showing up to a group because you just absolutely love training them and you're really excited about the clients and the results that they're going to get, I think that's like the number one thing is like, you know, what Mike talked about last time, right? How much do you care about your clients? If you do, you're going to figure out fun and exciting ways to constantly bring an experience. So I would check yourself first, kind of like those questions you asked at the beginning, RJ, because we're going to give you a bunch of ideas, but you could do these ideas and they could all suck if you're not excited about them and you're not excited about your class and excited about your clients. So that's just got to be there first, and then everything else can build on it.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of just write down a couple things. One thing that we talked about is challenges. I'll give you another example. Challenges don't have to be, you can look at, and I'll just write down here, reps, challenges. So you can have things like, hey, we're going to do TRX rows for a minute today. We're going to see how many rows we can do in a minute. But once again, I'm staying within my 3 rules, right? No injury during, preventing injury, and getting results, right? So you got challenges, you got time challenges, you got rep challenges, you got conditioning or cardio challenges, meaning one thing, for example, you could do is I'm having people doing conditioning. Hey, I want you to pay attention to your heart rate when you get done with conditioning. And then when you get done with this set, I want you to pay attention to your heart rate. Look at what it's at. It's at 150, 175, whatever it is. Okay, great. It got down to 120 by the time I started my next round, right? That's a simple thing. They're able to look at it, see where they're at. Okay, great. This is where I'm at now, and be able to see improvement over time, right? So you got reps challenges, time challenges, conditioning challenges. I'm trying to think of other types of challenges that we have. Anything else you can think of?
There's a ton you can do on conditioning. Like
there is a ton you can do on conditioning. I completely agree with that.
Like having fun, especially over on the turf. I mean, relay races. We did this thing where we created a tic-tac-toe board in the middle of the turf, and then split the clients into 2 groups, and they were playing tic-tac-toe with interval sprints, trying to beat each other. You just got to get creative, start thinking outside the box. I actually just got on Google and Googled group conditioning ideas, and there's this whole list of things, and I started picking stuff off of it. There's tons out there. Yeah.
School games is what I would look at. If you just go and Google kid drills, school drills, school games, basically that's what you're doing is you're essentially playing games like you did back in the day in the backyard, with body weight, mirror drills. Let's put on there mirror drills. Just taking people, partner them up. We're going to make this a part of our warm up today, or we're going to do this as part of our conditioning today. What other games can you guys think of? Relay races we mentioned.
Yeah.
Mirror drills, tag.
Engaged in a group task, they'll work so much harder for you than if you just had them like do sprints or do intervals. And it gets that community going that Nick was talking about.
Yep. We talked about experience, right? What type of experience? We brought up interesting facts, brought up jokes, brought up just overall yelling. I think overall yelling is a good thing.
Don't forget chalk.
Chalk. We talked about chalk. Any other things? Anything else? Oh, and then little nuances, right? I would say the little things. If I were to break it down on this, little things, like I said, doing bear crawls in the middle of the group is a little thing. You look at this group, yeah, there's tons of stuff. What else? What else could we find in here? There's got to be some other things. Other things, guys, that we have. Michelle put building my zone challenges as an idea. My zone challenges, because that's part of it too, guys. It is, and I'm going to put this on here, is internal and external as well. Internal versus external. And what I mean by that is, what are you doing internally in the session, and then also what are you doing externally outside of session? Right. So what type of experience are you creating when they walk in the door and they're with you? And then what type of experience are you creating when they're outside and we're working with the community, Facebook, text message groups, those sort of things, to help motivate them and challenge them. Nick talked about having people over for some beers and games, right? Those sort of things. Okay, guys, any other questions, any other concerns? Hopefully this was helpful. Anything else? Any other tidbits?
I would just say keep sending questions, guys. This whole topic today was just because we've had several trainers ask about this specific topic. We always want to make sure that our coaches' calls are helping improve the coaches. So keep doing that. Keep giving us feedback.
Yep. Hopefully
I just want to add one quick thing is just the main thing is to spark your own personality on it. No matter what you do during the session, it's not train them like robots, train them like people. Once you enjoy what you do and you just spin your personality on it, things just mold together. Every single group's going to be different. If I go to RJ's group, Lane's group, Thane's group, Michelle's, like we're all training different, but we create that culture within it. And then those people, and RJ's always said that it's not who you're training in the group, it's the personalities. I don't care what their goal is. I can train them in the group, but it's kind of bringing that personality where they blend together very well.
Awesome. Anything else, guys? So yeah, so kind of just my closing statement, would just be that, at the end of the day,
Jenny,
let's see. Jenny's out of the question. Switching up dynamic warm-up, how can we make it more fun? So if you look at, so the question is switching up dynamic warm-up, how can we make it more fun? So if I'm looking at the dynamic warm-up, you got to think purpose of the dynamic warm-up. What are we trying to accomplish, right? I would say the biggest thing from a dynamic warm-up standpoint is just literally how to make it fun is your energy. I would say is the biggest thing. I would say joking around, like when you come to my class, for example, it's jokes, it's fun. I'm going to make fun of you. One thing I would say that has been helpful for me in dynamic warm-up, now that we're saying this, I've been pointing out people's movement quality in the dynamic warm-up. As an example, yesterday I had 2 clients that couldn't move worth a ding-a-ling when I first got them. And now they can skip and it looks okay. And so I pointed it out to them. I was like, hey guys, I wish I would have filmed you at the beginning and filmed you now, because your skips look a hell of a lot better now than they did 3 weeks ago. And so that's one thing that I've done in dynamic warm-up, is pointed out people's movement quality during that, so they can have enough, so they can, feel good about that. But I would say, yeah, just creating that environment, having fun with it. The other thing too is creating on the dynamic warm-up, creating stations for it, or going, okay, we're going to have you do this on this part, and then we're going to have you come back going this way. So now they're getting, everybody's kind of doing different things, if that makes sense. Am I making sense? Right? So you got a lane, you're going to go, okay, leg cradles going down, quad pulls going back. Everybody's kind of working in a circle, right? Creating that environment. But yeah, hopefully that helps.
I think the personality thing is huge too. Like Nick mentioned, Jenny, is, trying to start facilitating a dynamic warm-up that, I think sometimes when we're really trying to do our best to follow the play, it can feel like very regimented. It's okay to try and encourage your clients to loosen up a bit and be themselves and just have a fun workout. One thing Mike Boyle said before when, just kind of talking about weights in general, he says, don't overcomplicate it. It's just lifting weights. I love when he says that, because it always reminds me just to, it's not rocket science. Let's have fun with it. We're just lifting as friends. Just encourage that kind of behavior and let the clients put the flair on it as well. Encourage that.
Yeah. So guys, just kind of in closing, just wanted to recap. We talked about biggest thing is making sure that you stay in line with the 3 rules, right? No injury, prevent injury, get results, right? As long as you have that in mind, and that's your number one focus when you're creating these fun experiences, you're going to be totally fine, right? Experiment with things, have fun with things, challenge yourself, challenge your clients, and also get feedback, right? Feedback is the breakfast of champions. If you do something, ask them about it. Hey, did you guys think that was fun? Do you guys want to do that again? Right? Very easily, you'll find out if it was fun and if they want to do it again. Very quickly, they'll go, yeah, that was great, or no, that was terrible. Let's never do that again. Right? So you learn from that and appreciate the hell out of you guys. Hopefully you have a wonderful Wednesday. Coaches coaching, coaches coaching. Talk to you later. Bye.
Woo!
Woo! Ric Flair!